away. Because obviously, that's the vein of the part of that I understand, but they weren't necessarily willing to crack down on it. Presence there in each and every one of those areas really forced the issue. But the biggest issue now, from Orlando to Orange County to Kissimmee, is the number of Puerto Ricans who have fled the island, who have now flooded into that population base. And they're in need of services, they're in need of help. But one thing we can certainly do is to help pick up the slack there, is get, because as their population swells, and it'll continue to swell, and God forbid if there's another hurricane that hits Puerto Rico, more will come, we need them to get involved and start self-policing as guardian angels. So that's a mission you're going to have. As was brought to our attention today by our visitors from Orlando. They were talking about a cat situation involving cats that appeared to have been poisoned, that clearly was serving a purpose in the community because as feral cats, as wandering cats, they were keeping the rat population, the mouse population, the rodent population at bay. Florida is ripe for the Guardian Angel Animal Protection Division program because when the government decides to spend your tax dollars, that poisons the ground. And by the way, your water base is so high to begin with here in Florida, you can't even bury bodies sometimes. So clearly, if you're pumping pesticides into the ground, it's getting into your water base. And the rats and the mice and the rodents, they become super rats because they become immune to the pesticides. So you have to increase the strength of the pharmaceutical product. And it's an endless cycle because then birds eat it, dogs eat it, squirrels eat it, lizards eat it, sometimes your alligators eat it. And they're tortured. When you see them die, they suffer a torturous death because their insides explode. And that's completely unfair. The presence of cats is a natural suppression to the rats and rodents and mice that plague so many. So that's another program that you can consider. But with all that you have to do on your plate, your number one concern has to be, what is the number one concern? Whether they're in South Korea, whether they're in Japan, whether they're in the Dominican Republic, whether they're in Puerto Rico, throughout the United States, whether they're in Canada, whether they're in England or Italy, or whether they're in any different part of the world where we have 13 chapters with 130 cities, is how do we perpetuate this and keep our effort alive? And the only ones who can do that are us. Nobody else is going to do that for us. Others can be our messenger and do how we do it. But ultimately, it comes down to the guardian angels themselves. So whether you happen to be in Fort Pierce,